Good morning, Connect Church. How's your Monday going? Charles Wolf from Connect Church in Ventura, California. Today's devotional, I want to revisit some of the things I've been saying over the last few weeks about loving each other and loving the people around us. And I mentioned that I've noticed strong support in social media and everything coming out of the entertainment industry has begun to embrace language, which a lot of us find offensive. And the Bible's clear not to use the Lord's name in vain. There's just no excuse for that whatsoever. But a lot of the language that's different than that, other than that, has become very popular. And we as Christians, I think, are beginning to find ways to use that and other, behavioral things, lifestyle choices and so forth. We've been using that as an excuse to isolate, separate, and not accept the people around us. And I have said this so often, I hope you're not tired of hearing it, because this won't be the last time you'll hear me say it. If you blast someone today, now I'm talking to their face, I'm talking about a conversation, or I'm talking about on social media, you blast someone today, they're not going to want to listen to you talk about Jesus tomorrow. So we need to find ways to accept and love these people. Let them know that we care. If you really want to be Christ-like, of course, you'll hang out with sinners. You may even hang out with wine bibbers and drinkers and hard-living people and tax collectors. And yes, you may even embrace people who have made lifestyle choices and live their lives in certain ways that perhaps the Bible even declares their activity to be aberrant to God. I just want to be real clear. I'm not saying that you and I need to embrace that lifestyle or those lifestyles. You and I don't need to begin using that kind of language just to be accepted or to let people know we accept them. Rather, we have to walk a much harsher line than that. We have to love people even when they do things that formerly offended us, but which society has begun to embrace wholeheartedly, I might add. Honestly, there are people in the entertainment industry that are concerned that if they do not use these types of language, they're going to lose the younger viewers, the people with the money. So they've thrown a switch. They've sent out a memo. They've made it clear to all their producers, directors, and the screenwriters and screenplay writers and all of that stuff. Embrace this, because the younger generation does. They're not as worried about you and me. Well, I want to read a passage out of 1 Peter, first chapter. And then I want us to understand something, a very basic truth. Ready? I'm going to read this. As obedient children, do not be conformed to the passions of your former ignorance, but as he who called you is holy, you also be holy in all your conduct, since it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy. I have a little note that I wrote earlier last week, and don't worry about whether you can read it. It simply says, you think you're right until you realize you're not. Now, I wrote that down. Someone said something that was close to that. What they said was a little different, but this I wrote because I wanted to remember it. If that doesn't immediately make you want to change the way you live, that's okay. This was a note I wrote to myself. And what I mean by that is this passage says, don't be conformed to the passions of your former ignorance. I'm a man of strong opinions, and I'm glad to speak them. And if I can find biblical truth to let me know when I'm right and when I'm wrong, I'll go with it. But I don't often use the same level of passion to correct myself. Or, as this passage says, I sometimes am conformed to the passions of my former ignorance. And when I discovered that what I thought was right is in fact ignorance, I'm not always as passionate about, I'll reread what it said. As he who called you is holy, you also be holy in all your conduct. So I wanted to clear this up. You and I fellow Christ followers, we've got to be able to let people around us know that we love them, and we would love to see them come out of some of their sin, all of their sin actually, but we're not going to let that sin keep us from loving them, because we'll never make the connection. We'll never have opportunity to speak into their lives. They'll never care what we want to tell them until they find out that we first care about them. But just in case there was any misunderstanding, I'm not saying that you and I need to embrace those lifestyle choices or those language choices or those behavioral choices. God says, be holy as I am holy. Let's go with that. Part of being holy is not passing judgment. There's a time and place when the Lord will pass judgment, but it's not for you and I to do. That's it. That's all I have for you. You know I love you. I'll see you next week.